Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesha. Please visit our website at classicalyoga.org. And there is a donate button if you would like to help us out. And please stand up for the Hindu, yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. Today's podcast, the sea will help you to see. From the Rig Veda, Hindu, Samudra Iddayarti Vayubhir. Remember, whether we say Hindu, doesn't matter. And what does it mean to be an Hindu? That we worship the moon and Shiva, Chandra, the rivers and the Matajis, Sarid, the Bindu, the red dot, the sun, Surya and Vishnu, and the Soma nectar within. Chandra, Sarid, Soma, Bindu. This is what it means to be a Hindu. And in the Rig Veda, the rishis, talking to their fellow Hindus, said, Hindu, Samudra Iddayarti Vayubhir. Fellow Hindu, with the support, bhir of the breath, Vayu, grab a hold, Iddayarti, of the cosmic ocean within Samudra. The cosmic ocean. So the cosmic ocean, the cosmos itself, 96% of what we know is the no-thingness, the cosmic ocean, represented by Ma Kali and the Shiva Lingam, the blackness. That's the fullness of everything. And out of that blackness comes the big bang of creation, the spiraling nature of life, hence the worship of Nagdevata, wrapped around Mahadev Shiva, the spiraling galaxies, at the center too, the black hole, just like our eyes. Look into the eyes of your fellow human beings, and the black hole is there. And it's there that we unify on into the powerful forces of nature, the hurricane and the eye of the hurricane, and the tornadoes, and the whirlpools, and the huge breaking ocean waves, the spiraling nature of life, down to the bottom of the ocean. And we find the conch shells and all kinds of amazing alien-like creatures at the bottom of the ocean. With the beautiful use of YouTube today, we can watch so many videos on life itself. Watch some on the deep sea creatures, the octopus that are down there, the octopi. Some of them have 9 brains, 3 hearts, amazing. And they actually emit their own self-luminous light. That's why we chant, Anta Jyotir Bahir Jyotihi, Pratyag Jyotihi, Parapara Jyotir Jyotihi, Svayan Jyotihi, Atma Jyotihi, Sivo Shmyaham. Say, I am the light within and the light without. That light is the Atmana, beyond cause. The light of all lights, self-effulgent light. The Atmana is light. We are that, imperishable. So at the depths of the ocean, these creatures emit blue light and red light. Amazing creatures that live at the depths of the ocean. Check out the anglerfish that actually has an antenna with a light on the end of it, angler, hence an angler, that attracts its prey and then it eats it. Then you have all kinds of crabs and giant squibs. Squid that go up to 12 feet. Remember Captain Nemo? What a truly amazing planet we live on. Amazing galaxy. That's why actually the first word for what we call Hindu Dharma today is Ritta, Ritvijam, victory to Bhumi Mata, Mother Nature. We respect this earth that we're living on. And remember, 71% of it is covered by the oceans of the world, the salt ocean. Where's the salt come from? Well, it actually comes from leaching the salt from rocks and from the seafloor. So amazing, with all that water, you can't drink it. But there's creatures that live in there and breathe. Remember, it's H2O. There's oxygen in that water. And just pause and consider for a moment that all of us right now, listening to this, we were all at one time living as sea creatures in the womb. Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb chamber that's always inside of us. But we were living inside of our mother's womb, in seawater, the amniotic fluid, and breathing like fish. Obviously connected to our mother by the umbilical cord, as she took our waste products and gave us sustenance. It's not a coincidence that many are really attracted to the oceans, to the seas. And certainly in summertime, if you will, especially here on the East Coast, the beaches are just crowded with people. And obviously everybody has different motives. Some just want to show off their bodies. Others really want to go to be totally absorbed in Mother Nature. And in the summertime, if you want to do that with some measure of peace, you have to get there early in the morning. So listen to our podcast on learning from Bhumi Mata, where we go into a mystical understanding of going to the beach, which is like a temple. Remember, you take your shoes off, just like we do when we go to Mandir. And watching the quote-unquote sunrise. Remember, it doesn't really do that, does it? Hence our understanding of Maya, or the delusions of life. And also listen to our podcast on the Song of Creation. Because unlike many other religions, certainly unlike the monotheistic religions, when it comes to how creation started, the Hindu rishis simply, wisely, profoundly said, who knows? So we go with what we do know. There was and there is an absolute no-thingness, out of which comes creation itself, the Big Bang of creation, and back again. Again, this is the wisdom of the deep, dark Shiva Lingam and Mother Kali, representing that blackness that's always there. It's before creation, within creation, and when it's all over again. And then remember, folks, we go there every single night. We go into that no-thingness, the absolute. Wake again in the next day, and then do the process all over again as we follow this samsara, this reincarnation cycle that is life itself. So in life, the choices are always up to us, hopefully. And we can decide whether to take things in a very superficial way, and sometimes it's okay. Or we can also choose to dive deep. We can play in the kiddie end of the pool, if you will, or we can go into the deep end. The surface of the ocean is obviously a beautiful playground. Surfers love it, as they get very tied to Mother Nature, and they often become very mystical also. You can't help it, because you're surrounded by the elements. But there are also those that want to dive deep and explore the depths of the ocean, where there's intense silence. Anybody who's ever done some diving, scuba diving, or deep sea diving, you know what it's like when you go deep under the water. We can't go very far, humans. We're not able to handle that kind of pressure. But there's a wonderful understanding of the depth of silence of the Absolute. It's filled with creatures, living and dying, procreating there. So we approach the oceans, the Samudra, the cosmic ocean within, and the external oceans, Varuna, with great reverence. And we learn to see by paying great obeisance to the sea. So we go to the beach, take off our shoes, settle down in the sand, and notice how enticing it is, because it really is a beautiful example of the five senses and the five elements. So we're sitting on Bhumi Mata, on the earth, and we walk on the sand, and just think of that for a moment. It's made up of individual grains of sand. But when they all come together, we can walk on the sand. We go a little bit deep into the sand, but we walk on the sand, and it's made up of individual tiny grains of sand. What a wonderful analogy for group efforts. The individual helps the group, and the group helps the individual. Walking on the sands of life. And like the hourglass, the sands of time just keep flowing and flowing and flowing. Don't waste it. Time is more precious than rubies. Yogaswami. So we have earth, and then we obviously have the huge ocean there, water, and then we have that ball of fire, and then the sound of the air, the sound of the waves, and then the quiet that it brings inside. All the elements, earth, water, fire, air, and the Akasha. To Hindus, this would be Bhumi. Udaka Agni Vayu Akasha. And the five senses, the Panch Indriyas, Panch Bhutas, Panch Indriyas, are thoroughly stimulated. Smell. You smell the salt air, fresh air, hopefully, and beautifully in the morning. Taste. You can taste the air, and obviously the sea water you taste. Sight. The beautiful sights, the vast ocean. Those of you that have read Walden Pond by Thoreau, he has a beautiful quote in there. He said, "Live in places that are endlessly vast to ease mind pressures." And the sound of the ocean. So we have the smells and the sight and the taste and the touch. You get touched by the breeze. Dive into the ocean, get touched by that salt water. There's something very stimulating about salt water on our human body again. Perhaps reminding us, consciously or unconsciously, with awareness or without awareness, of the 9 months of living in sea water in the womb of our Mataji. And it's not a coincidence that we call our inner sanctums and our temples the Hiranyagarbha, the womb chamber, and we all have it inside of us. We call that the inner essence, the Atmana, at the Anahata chakra, the heart chakra, the Hiranyagarbha. So we have the five senses, the Panch Indriyas, Granaja, Rasa, Chaksusa, Sparana, Shrautra, smell, taste, sight, touch, hearing. And this is all following in sequence, the chakras. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, smell, taste, sight, touch, hearing. Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddha. And these chakras are also associated with the sequential nature of the colors from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, white, purple. So if you go to the beach at sunrise, quote unquote, you'll see the red dot, the bindu, right there. And then it turns orange, then it turns yellow, red, orange, yellow. And then there are green plants, sea plants, which is amazing. They grow out of the sand. There must be some nutrient there. So green vegetation growing out of sand. So we have red, orange, yellow, green, and then you look at the blue sea. And then the paler blue sky. And then perhaps the white puffy clouds. And as the sun is now much higher in the sky, so to speak, the earth is moving. We see that white light. And then if you look up deep into the purpleness of the upper atmosphere, so we have all the chakra colors as well. All of this is inside of us because it's also outside of us. Antar Bahir, outside, inside. Again, that's why we chant Antar Bahir Jyotir Bahir. Antar Jyotihi Bahir Jyotihi. I am the light within and the light without. And are not those who go to the beach all literally sun worshippers, most ancient form of worship? Worshipping the sun and letting that great power of the sun totally relax you. After a day in the beach, pretty easy to fall asleep. Of course, we worship the sun in the sense of respecting its power also, because there's a time to soak it up and there's a time to stay away from it. And we also notice some basic patterns going here, just like the spiraling of the galaxies, which go all the way down into the conch shell at the bottom of the ocean, and then the very thing that's helping you to hear at this moment, the spiral inside of your ear, the cochlea. Talk about intelligent design. But we also start to see some natural designs from the wave-like motion of the clouds to the waves themselves, to the patterns that the waves create on the sand. to then the feelings inside of you as the energy patterns move through your entire being. Shakti to the Hindus. And again, this is why the snake is symbolically seen as the way life moves. Interestingly, the snake is seen as a sign of evil to the monotheists. Very interesting. That's the way life moves. Life doesn't move in straight lines. That's for the things that we create as humans. But as far as nature goes, no straight lines. Everything is wavy. And then when the energies are really intense, they spiral, just the cobra snake. Hence the hurricane and tornado and whirlpool, these powerful forces of creation. And remember, that's why in the Hindu yoga dharma, we have this close connection to nature. Now, yes, sometimes we have taken advantage of that, unfortunately, and we have let our temples, etc., become really dirty, and our streets very dirty in India. That's a shame. We really got to clean that up. But there's still in Hinduism that strong connection to nature. And again, sometimes people make the erroneous cliche that all religions are the same, if they're going to accept religions at all. But they're not the same. They're very different. A dramatic difference is that you never go into a Christian church without shoes on, and you never go into a Hindu temple with shoes on. And even in many places, the pujaris, the pundits, especially in the South, they always go bare-chested. Whereas you'll never get a minister or priest go bare-chested. So this strong connection to Mother Nature. And we can't forget when we're on the beach to pay respect to the other creatures there with us. You can dig down in the sand and maybe find some sand crabs, very interesting little creatures. They're also called mole crabs. And they live under the sand. They have babies under there too. It's amazing. And actually live their life in reverse. Watch some videos on the life of the sand crabs. And then, of course, we can't forget the seagulls. A pest to many people, but think for a moment. What a life in many ways. They have their pick of beachfront property that many people spend millions of dollars for. And they can walk. And they can swim, and they can float, and they can fly. Whoa, seems like a pretty good life. And seagulls basically have an iron stomach. They can eat almost anything. They can stay in any kind of weather. Doesn't matter to them. You'll see them out there in the heat of August and the freezing temperatures in January. Doesn't matter to them. Pretty amazing life. Those of you that remember from the 70s, there was a powerful book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and you can still find it on YouTube. Taken from the point of view of a renunciate, if you will, seagull, one who wanted, like a yogi, lived off by himself and explored his beautiful flying techniques. Wow. Watch him, and you can tell that some of them like to be with other seagulls, some of them like to be by themselves. And that's a beautiful thing as you see the different animals. And you'll see that like attracts like, even among the seagulls. There are different species, and you'll see those hanging together. But there will always be ones that want to be off by themselves. And you can tell when they fly, especially when you have a nice wind and they can glide, they're really enjoying this flying experience. And it's not a coincidence that we humans also, we have this fascination with flying and flight. Hence superheroes like Superman and parachuting, skydiving, flying planes themselves. There's something about that flying nature, which is really emblematic of our inner search for our Atmana, which transcends, in a sense, flies beyond the body. So there was a group back in the 70s also that sang about nature songs, among others. This group was called America, and they had a beautiful song called A Horse with No Name. It's all about going out into the desert. And there's a beautiful line in there. Quote, "The ocean is a desert with its life underground, and the perfect skies above. Under the seas lies a heart made of brown, but the humans will give no love. So I think it says, under the seas you can discover yourself, and lives a heart made of brown, but the humans will give no love. So think about that for a moment, how we have polluted much of the earth and much of the seas. In fact, there's a surfing spot in the Caribbean island on St. Martinique. They actually call it plastic bottles because of the obvious. So we humans, we can really pollute. We have to stop and think about that. The other creatures don't do that. They take what they need and everything kind of gets consumed back again into nature. But we have this fascination with stuff, and especially plastic, which basically lives for a long time. So we want to be more conscious, obviously, of that. So our basic Hindu scripture, the Rig Veda, it begins with Agni Mile, praise the fire. We live on a fire planet. Praise Surya, the sun, and the fire within, the fire of the Atmana, that's enlivening our body at this very moment. The inner essence of light, energy, heat, which translates into the human experience of love, that warmth, love, light, and energy. Om, this are we with emotions, mind, and body. So, the fifth word of the Rig Veda is victory to this nature, Mother Nature, Ritvijam. So we worship the outer nature and the inner nature with the goal of reaching the cosmic ocean within, the Atmana. Fellow Hindus, Samudra idyarti vayubhe. Respect Bhumi Mata, respect Mother Nature. Respect your own body, respect the bodies of others. And then find that cosmic ocean within. Respecting life itself and Bhumi Mata and the oceans. Let the sea teach you how to see. The third eye point, the Bindu. Trambakam yajamahe sukandim pushti vardanam urva rukamiva bandhanam mrutyo mukshiya mamratat. Using the two outer eyes and then the inner eye, the Bindu. Grabbing a hold of that cosmic ocean within, the inner essence, the Atmana. Remember, that is our supreme goal. Atmadarshana Paramo Dharma. Realize that inner essence of Sat Chit, Ananda, Jyoti Shakti, Ananda, Shanti, love, light, and energy. Om, this are we with emotions, mind, and body. Open our eyes and see, and close our eyes and see. Om Shanti. P.S. Prajna Samadhi. Now, we've painted a pretty rosy picture in general, but remember, as others have said, absolute calm is not the law of the ocean. And anybody who spends some time with the ocean knows this. It can be beautiful, blissful, or it can be a hellish experience, if you will. Watch the movie Perfect Storm. So this is a metaphor for life itself. We cannot expect to go through life without having storms in our life. Joy and sorrow. This is a world of duality that we're all in. But for most of us, and sadly for many it's not, but for most of us we have more joyful and pleasant and healthy days than we do sick ones. Of course, obviously we have to have great compassion for those that have serious maladies 24/7. But how do we get through this life? That's where the understanding of religion comes in. Remember, that root word is religio. It simply and profoundly means we're trying to figure out how to tie or bind or link, religio, our lives together, for better or for worse. That's really the venue of religion. It comprises our body, mind, emotions, and the inner essence of the Atmana. And everybody who's really been put to the test, that's why true yogis go off in the forest, see if they can make it. Those of you in yoga studios and pretending to be 200-hour yoga teachers, come on. There's tremendous discipline and the resultant suffering and joy that goes along with a true mystical life. So how do we grab a hold of this cosmic ocean within Hindu Samudra de Yartivayubhir? Well, again from the Rig Veda, Yoge, Samana Parivam Sapta Sharvato Ratogat. Through the processes of yoga, which is Hindu dharma, karma, bhakti, raja, jnana, hatha, mantra, japa, nada, nata, kundalini. This is all Hindu yoga. Through this process of Hindu yoga, within this ratogat, this body, temple, chariot, we find our tranquil samana, beautiful inner nature. In other words, we live the Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. Basically, the classic four, karma, bhakti, raja, jnana, karma yoga, Hindu ethics, bhakti yoga, Hindu devotions, raja yoga, Hindu contemplations, to Gyan yoga, the outer and most importantly, the inner study from the cosmic ocean within. So hopefully, at some point, if you haven't already done it, you'll make it to the beach at dawn and you'll get the whole picture. Again, listen to our podcast on Bhume Mata and the wisdom of the quote-unquote sunrise. But you'll see that red dot. That's why we Hindus wear the bindu. And in the Rig Veda, the rishis talk to themselves, called themselves bindus sometimes. Puram bindu vajre purush tutaha. Ancient, soulful warrior. Ancient bindu Hindu, soulful warrior. Vajre purush tutaha. So, fellow Hindus, as you put on your bindi, and if you're a Saiva Hindu, you put on your Tripundra, the three marks of Vibhuti, the holy ash. Remember, that's the third pada of the Yoga Sutras, as the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali wrote. This profound metaphysical understanding of the entire lifestyle, and especially for the Hindu male renunciate yogis in training. That's what it's really for. In-depth studies. In-depth experience. As we put on that vibhuti, burning up greed, anger, lust, lobha, krodha, kama, it uncovers, like when the clouds dissipate and we see the sun that was always there. And in the morning, that red dot. So, put on your kumkum, your potu, your tilak, your bindi, and say to yourself, I've got a dot on my head and it's really, really red. It's a bindu because I am a Hindu and I am proud to be a Hindu. What about you? And I do yoga because it is Hindu. Karma bhakti, hatha is to. Rajajnana, it's all yoga. It's all Hindu. It's not bogus. Jaga uttakara deko. Wake, arise. Look and see. Go down to the sea. Thou art that tattvam asi.